Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to the Knitrohi podcast. I'm your host Arohi. Today we'll be talking about the summer tops that I've made from 2021 all the way up to today. If you don't catch what I'm saying, my Instagram and Ravelry project pages will be linked down below, as well as everything that I mentioned today. So just super quickly before I get started, what I'm wearing. This is my clove sweater by Rachel Knits Things, or Rachel Kurihara. I made this back in October 2021. It's made out of a Cardiff Cashmere Classic, and I received a 20% off discount to use their yarn because I test knit that pattern. I wear this sweater like all the time really, so now that it's like pretty nice outside again, I can just wear sweaters, and this is what I am wearing today. So yeah, since this isn't like a usual podcast video, I don't want to get super into what I'm wearing. I do want to talk about the summer tops, so let's get straight into it. The first one is my very first summer top that I made. It is the Seasons Change top with a really fun background motif. The Seasons Change top is by Melanie Reiner, or the Knit Stitch on Instagram, and I knit this in the size small. I initially knit this in the size large, and as I was knitting the body, since it's knit bottom up, I realized it was way too big and it was just falling off of me, even though like I gauge swatched and everything and it turned out right. I decided to just like unravel it all and just knit a couple sizes down to the size small. And yeah, this top is very interesting. I chose this initially because I love knitting lace, and the back is entirely lace while the front is just stuck in it, so I feel less weird about having lace in the front and just showing off my bra and everything. What I didn't realize, however, is that I'm not super into like strappy tank tops. It makes it pretty hard to wear and I don't really wear strapless bras. So it's really hard for me to wear this top normally, especially since I made the spaghetti straps, I think, a little too long. So the V-neck in the front really cuts deep down, and I'm not a fan of that kind of garment, so I don't wear this super often. But I do want to say that the cotton is like really soft, and maybe one day down the road I might unravel this and make it into something more that I would wear. So yeah, this is the Seasons Change top. Moving on, so this is something that I wore in my very first video. If you haven't seen that, highly recommend. But yeah, this is my Batty tee by Josefine on Instagram. So unfortunately, like I said in my previous video as well, this Batty tee isn't available for sale. Unfortunately, Josefine decided not to publish this pattern. She might in the future, but there is a chunky version of this pattern available. I will also link that below. So I knit this in the size D, which approximately corresponds to a size medium. I knit it in Knitting for Olive's Pure Silk in the color Putty. And like I said last time too, Putty is this like grayish, whitish, warm gray, really, a color that really suits my skin tone. And I wear this tee like all the time. I will probably wear it in future podcast videos as well. And yeah, since I've already discussed this, don't want to like just reiterate myself. So moving on, this one I'm super excited about. This one is my first sample of the square tee pattern by me. So I knit this in summer 2021. Yes, summer 2021 as well. I had just moved to New York City. I had just finished the Batty tee pattern. I loved the square neck on it. So I decided that I wanted to make a pattern as well that had a square tee and was knit continuously top down. So yeah, so I came up with the square tee pattern. This one has a square neck and a very interesting shoulder detail. It has a one line kind of stitch, and it's the shoulder and the back are created, or the front straps and the back are created via increases, kind of like raglan increases. And once you're done with that, you create the sleeve also via raglan increases, and then everything is bound off using an I-cord bind off. Since again, I really like the I-cord bind off and how it looked from the Batty tee. So yeah, I love wearing this as well. This was my first sample that I made in 2021. Like I said, I made this out of sandnes garn Line, I believe is how it's pronounced, in the color, I think it's called medium dark gray, dark medium gray, something like that. No, blue, dark medium blue. around those lines. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's probably linked in my Ravelry project page. So if you're interested in using the same color, obviously you can check it out there. Yeah, and of course my square tee, if this looks cool to you, is also linked down below. And since summer is coming up, I would probably knit another square tee sample myself, since I really love this tee and I wear it all the time. And I do really need one in like a white or a black, you know, my favorite colors. So yeah, moving on. I made this bralette for a vacation that my boyfriend and I took to Cancun. So, oh, sorry, this is the wrap bra by Naked Knit. It is made in, I keep putting it down, sorry about that. It's made in a mystery yarn that I received in the Shopla Mercery's Winter Wishes sock swap just a few months before we met. I created this top. Unfortunately, I'm the type of person who receives a yarn, wants to ball it up, and immediately throws the label away. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to keep all my labels in a bag now, but back then I immediately threw it away, and unfortunately I do not remember what this yarn was. But it has it's basically pink, but with very interesting blue and purple and yellow kind of streaks through it. So I thought it was like the perfect kind of top to wear when I was lounging at the beach. So yeah, this is what I made before my trip to Cancun. I made it in like a week, really, in fingering weight gauge. So yeah, this pattern is by Naked Knit, and this is the wrap bra, like I said, and it is a made to measure pattern, really. So you just like measure how many stitches you want. I think there's like a few guidelines for small, medium, large, but since it's like a made to measure pattern, you can kind of just increase like as your boob is bigger. I followed approximately a medium size, but in adjusting for my gauge and my boob. So yeah, and then I attached an elastic at the bottom here to hold up my chest so that it would be like a real kind of top that I could wear without anything below. Again, I really just made this for the beach. I probably wouldn't wear it otherwise. So yeah, the next top that I made, surprise, surprise, is also the square tee. This was my second sample. So I made this when I was deciding to release the square tee pattern. I knit this in another yarn, Drops Belle, in the color Almond Rose. And I think my gauge kind of changed from 2021 to 2022, so I knit this on like slightly smaller needles. I knit this on US 5 needles instead of 4mm needles. So but it comes out to be the exact same gauge. I'm knit in the same size, but this time I'm actually taking notes while I knit the tee. So this is also in a size medium with the exact same details, like the I-cord bind off everywhere. And yeah, this is, once I knit this, I was able to grade it into different sizes and release the pattern out for testing. This is my very first pattern that I wrote, and I graded and I tested and everything. So that was a really fun experience. Again, if you're interested in the square tee pattern, you want to make one yourself, like I've linked everything down below. Yep, moving on. The next summer top that I knit in 2022 was the Georges top by Colibri by Johanna. I believe that's how you say it. So this was a test knit, and I made this in kind of leftover black yarns, black DK weight yarns that I have. The pattern recommends holding 2 strands of knitting for olive pure silk, but personally I don't like holding 2 strands of knitting for olive pure silk on summer tops. I think pure silk looks really good like by itself rather than like holding it together with another strand of pure silk. Really kind of feels like a waste of pure silk to me. So I decided to make it out of leftover yarn that I had, all black. The leftover yarn that I had was Drops Lima and Sassy Origin, which are both like a merino alpaca mix. So you might be curious why I was using those to knit a summer top. But personally, since it was like a kind of a very strapless, kind of a V-neck summer top, using alpaca merino didn't really bother me as much. The one thing I do want to say is that it didn't grow as much as pure silk would have, but that didn't really affect the fit too much, or it doesn't bother me too much. One thing that you might notice is when you look at the George's top, it's very much known for having bows on the shoulders. I did want to create bows as well. I thought that was a pretty cool idea, but there were several problems with the bows while I was testing the pattern. So first of all, the bows are stockinette bows, so it's kind of like the V's on one side and the bumps on the other side. And as you know, stockinette curls. So while I was knitting the bows on this, I noticed that the bows were just kind of curling in on itself and kind of looking floppy that way. And no amount of blocking would really fix that because, you know, it's stockinette. And if you ever tried like knitting a stockinette scarf, you would notice that it needs some sort of border so that it doesn't roll in on itself. So it was the same problem with the bows too, and I just didn't really like how they were behaving. Second of all, I only had enough yarn to make one bow. So I did end up making that one bow just for pattern testing sake. And I made that bow out of a slightly lighter yarn, so I used a, I don't know, medium gray, dark gray instead of all black, so it goes kind of like a contrast between the top. I think I posted a picture on Ravelry before I undid the bow, so you can take a look there on what it looked like. But anyways, I decided that the bow didn't really go with the whole top. Maybe this was because my neck is like shorter than usual, so the bow kind of looked too bulky there, which I don't generally like to have bulk in this area. But second of all, it just really didn't, I just didn't like the type of bow on this top, so I decided to undo the bow and then close both straps off with the Kitchener stitch. So it just turned into like a pretty cropped V-neck summer top, tank top, which is now super wearable. I'm very comfortable wearing this in the summer. Moving on, this is one of my favorite summer tops. I made this right after testing the George's top. This is my Sassy Classy Crop Top by Anne Catherine, or Anne Catherine Bush. I made this using Purl Soho Sweetgrass in the color Pale Sesame, I believe. I knit this in a size small, which is what my bust size corresponded to in the pattern. And I love this pattern for so many reasons. It has so many incredible, well thought out details. Let me just get straight into it. So first, it has a kind of like a mock neck, really. It sits up here, and it looks really nice since it's the sleeveless top. It kind of gives you a balance between like skin on your arm versus like a higher neck on your shoulder, and I think it looks super sleek. Secondly, the whole top is knit in a 2x1 rib, so the top kind of conforms to your body since it's in a ribbing pattern. Third of all, the top has a very cute little cable detail on the shoulder. So while you're increasing for the body, I should probably go on the other side. While you're increasing on the body, you kind of make increases on the front and the back, but also cable the shoulder seam, which results in a very pretty looking shoulder seam like you see over here. Then, I know this top has so many details. While you're increasing for the front, you get a very nice sort of shaping detail by, as you see over here, by increasing and decreasing at the same time around the bust. This gives a very nice like figure hugging kind of, I don't know, look to the top. I think it looks beautiful. Then you split for the sleeves and everything, and once you're done with however long you want your body, while you end your body, you kind of taper in the number of stitches. So like, since generally your bust is bigger than your waist, you want to bring the number of stitches down so that it's like figure hugging at your bust as well as figure hugging at your waist, making it like a, I don't know, like a crop top-ish, you know. So you do that by increasing at the back at a uniform rate, which gives you the Sassy Classy crop top. I love this top a lot. I used Purl Soho Sweetgrass, like I said, and I got this off of someone else's, another Raveler's D-stash on Ravelry. I believe it was around 1 1/3 skeins, which was a perfect amount for this top. I loved making it, I love wearing it, and I can definitely see myself making another one in the future because I do want one in black, as you probably guessed, my favorite color. So yeah, that's the Sassy Classy crop top. The next one that I made is the Camisole number 5. Oops, the Camisole number 5 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And you'll probably notice that like all of these tops are kind of folded up very nicely. I'm removing everything from my summer storage right now, since I'm taking all of these summer clothes to go on vacation, where I'm probably going somewhere, or I'm going somewhere pretty warm. So everything is like fresh out of storage. But anyways, this is the Camisole number 5 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit this in Knitting for Olive's merino in the color plum clay. I knit a size medium. Now, something about this pattern, it isn't very size inclusive. I think it goes from extra small to extra large or XXL. And although it does offer up to XXL, which I know already isn't super great, most of the people that I've seen knit this pattern generally knit in like extra small or maybe even medium. And I do notice that like for like extra small people, it might act like the shaping might actually work. For a size medium, I don't know if I was too comfortable with the sizing. For example, for extra small, and medium, you cast on like the same number of stitches, and you cast on the same number of stitches at the body as well. I would expect someone who sizes into extra small to be a lot smaller than I am, especially width-wise. So it was kind of weird to me that like the front width would be the same for an extra small and a medium. And I think I was like proved right when I tried to like knit the two front pieces. I realized that the top was like cutting in a little too much. It was cutting in so much that it wouldn't even really be bra friendly, which I'm not interested in wearing a top that's not bra friendly. I'm not really sure how I would wear it otherwise. So instead, I decided like to cast on more stitches in the middle over here after I knit the two front pieces. So instead of like, this is kind of hard to show, but instead of cutting it like too deep, since I cast on stitches in the middle, it would cut in like slightly less deep. And I actually really like how it turned out. It still has a very like Camisole number 5-esque shape of like cutting in over here with the double knit bands on the side, but it's way more bra friendly for me. If you're interested in those same modifications, if you also size into a medium or above and you're interested in doing the same, I have linked my project page below, like I said, and all the descriptions of like all the changes that I made are listed under Camisole number 5. So yeah, I really love knitting this top though. I love knitting 2x2 rib, which is what this entire top is made from. I think it's very soothing to knit like 2 knits, 2 purls all in the round on 3mm fingering weight gauge. And I especially love all the double knitting details that this top has. Both the sleeves are finished with a double knitting band, as well as the neck. The neck is a little hard to see that it's double knitting, but you can kind of tell when you like push over the middle that like the neck is finished with the double knitting band as well. I did pick up fewer stitches than recommended for the neckband, since I did see a few Ravelry project pages saying that there were too many stitches recommended in the pattern and their neck ended up looking floppy. But however many stitches I did pick up ended up being the perfect amount, since I don't think it's floppy at all. I love wearing this top. I think it's a very beautiful color, nice dusty purple, dark purple. I like wearing it with like, you know, a white shirt on top. It makes me feel pretty chic. So I will definitely continue wearing this summer as well. And lastly, the last summer top that I made is my sweater number 20, but a vest or a top style. So the sweater number 20 is by My Favorite Things Knitwear as well. And this is released as a sweater pattern, obviously, since it's in the name, sweater number 20. I decided that like I really loved the cable pattern on here, but at that time I was in the mood for a summer top. So the pattern recommends holding Knitting for Olive heavy merino with, I believe, either an alpaca lace strand or a strand of silk mohair. Either way, I wasn't interested in that second strand as well, since I figured that like I live in New York City, it's really humid outside and I don't really want mohair to stick to me. So I decided to just have a whole knitting for olive heavy merino by itself. I knit this in knitting for olive heavy merino in the color Dusty Moose. I used around 4.5 balls of it to knit this top. And since I would be very much off gauge than what the pattern recommended, I decided to, you know, just wing it and knit a size 2 on 4.5 millimeter or US 7 needles. I followed basically the same cable pattern, except I omitted the last braid here. So generally, the sweater number 20 has like one braid going down here and then a few other cables and then another braid and then the sleeve. I decided that that would be a little too wide for my liking, so I decided to remove the second braid here and just cast off for the sleeve after the cable patterns. I followed the pattern basically the same otherwise, except for obviously the length. It's a lot shorter than the sweater recommends. So, and then I cast off using a 2x2, which is a regular 2x2 bind off as well. And then for the neck, I decided to go for the shorter neck, and then instead of having it a double folded over neck, I just cast on once I had reached my ideal neck length size. So yeah, I really like wearing this top as well. My only one gripe with it is I think I made the sleeves a little too deep. So I might go back actually, and I've been meaning to for a while, to go back and stitch it up a little, stitch up the sleeves so that it's a little less deep and I don't have to show off my sports bra that I'm wearing underneath all the time. Yeah, so that's eight different summer tops that I've made ever since 2021. If you're here just for knitting content, then that's all that I have for today, and I've listed some of my summer knitting plans for this year in my last video, so if you haven't watched that, I would recommend taking a look at that. And I'm super excited to show you guys like what I end up knitting. If you're here for knitting plus content, I do have a couple tops that aren't knitted, but I still made last summer and the summer before that. So if you are, then the first top that I made that isn't knit is a crochet top. This is the Jackie Camisole by Cosmati or Andrea M. I test crocheted this for Andrea back in 2021, September, I believe. I used leftover yarn from one of the sweaters that I made for my sister. This is in Berroco Vintage DK in the color Fennel. And you guys know how much I love Berroco Vintage DK, obviously. And I did have like about 1 and a little bit of skeins left. So I decided to test knit for Andrea using that yarn. I think it's a very beautiful green color. So the Jackie Camisole is a made to measure pattern. So you measure across your bust and your waist, and you knit the top flat, or you crochet the top flat, obviously, and you close it at the back using any of the tie joints that the pattern recommends or one of your own. I decided to not use what the pattern recommends and instead have like a corset top kind of closure at the back and have like a long tail down below. And then once you're done with that, the top is edged with a crab stitch, resulting in this very beautiful kind of edging over here. And then the straps are attached on the top and attached to the back. So this is a very beautiful summer top. I love the crochet pattern on this and I love wearing it. The only issue with this is like similar to my Seasons Change top, the very first top that I showed you guys. Since it's a spaghetti strap top, there is the bra situation to deal with. And again, like I said, I don't really wear strapless bras that often. So whenever I do like to wear this top, and I will continue to wear it this summer as well. So that is my first and only crochet top before I make more, maybe this summer. In the last one, neither crochet nor knit, this is my very first sewn summer top. So this is the Hyssop blouse by Deer and Doe Patterns. So I'm not really sure how, I'm so sorry, there's an ambulance in the background. it stopped for now. I live like 3 streets below a hospital, so there's sirens like all the time. It's kind of lucky last time actually in my previous podcast I didn't end up with fire trucks and ambulances just all throughout my video. I thank my lucky stars, but this time I guess you guys get to hear the beautiful sounds of New York City. But anyways, getting back to my sewn summer top, this is the Hyssop blouse, like I said, by Deer and Dope Patterns. This was my first sewn top, and let me just tell you, I'm not super good at sewing. It's not one of my talents, but I still do want to make more sewn clothing, since I think I'm more drawn to sewn lighter weight clothes over the summer than I am to knit tops and crochet tops, even though I have like 8 that I showed you guys. So this top has a very interesting side detail. It has a button closure on both sides. This was the first time that I actually sewed buttonholes, so I'm very impressed with myself. Although, like, if you actually look at the buttons, they're like very unequally spaced, but that's okay. This is my first time making bust darts as well. A lot of firsts. Oh, can you guys actually see the bust darts? This is my first time doing a lot of things in this pattern. First time creating a bias tape. Didn't know what that was before this pattern. But either way, I truly loved sewing this pattern, even though sewing kind of gets me a little stressed out. Not like knitting. Knitting's very calming for me. I think it's good to have like a balance of the two, you know? Get frustrated with sewing, go back to knitting. If you're in an okay mindset again, go back to sewing. I don't know if this is like mentally healthy. But anyways, I made this top last year, and I will absolutely wear it again this year, and maybe make another one as well. I really like the buttons that I picked out for this. So I got these buttons off of Etsy and a store name that I don't remember. I'll link it down below once I find it. And it's a sort of like shell. They're like shells, I think. Each one is kind of unique in itself, so I think they work really well with the plain black top. The fabric that I used is a 100% linen that I bought from Mood Fabrics. That's the only fabric store that I actually know in New York City, which isn't great. I need to find more just to get some variety. But when we first moved here and I started to first get into sewing, I decided to visit Mood Fabrics and pick out like 2 yards of just like a fabric that was, I don't know, that I could remember my first like mood trip by. So I decided to pick out this black 2 yards linen. I didn't really know what to do with it. So I decided to first try to go for a romper. And like I said, I'm not super great at sewing, and I think I got the measurements really wrong. So I wasted a lot of fabric in that. So I decided to use the leftovers to create like kind of a cropped summer top. So the Hyssop top was perfect for that. So yeah, again, this is my Hyssop top, my very first sewn summer top. And I do plan on sewing more tops and maybe dresses this year too. So if you guys are into that content as well, I'm happy to show it on here. Just don't know how much is appropriate to show on a knitting podcast. And yeah, that is all I have. Those are all my summer tops, knit, crocheted, sewn, that I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it, and I'm super excited to make more summer tops this year. And now I will finally get to packing all of these summer tops in my suitcase that I take on vacation. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Don't know if I will upload this on a weekend, but great day otherwise. And I hope to see you soon. Thanks guys. Bye-bye.